This is the Twistura D-Major, and we're going to be unboxing this. This is from Fisher, a website called Fisher. They're a Chinese distributor, and like always, of course, I demand one thing and one thing only, and that's to be able to say whatever it is that I actually want to say and not be tied down by any corporate bullshit. This is not, that's not gonna happen anytime soon. If I'm gonna have to fight my way through it, then so I will. In any case, opening it up. Packaging wise, it's small, but if you're familiar with like the Twistura D-Major, and I believe Twistura in general, they have a lot of things in the box. And we can see here as well some of the specifications. I'm just gonna read it out to you guys. First thing I've seen is that the shell material is zinc alloy, so another metal IEM. Unit configuration is 10mm dynamic driver. The diaphragm is beryllium coated. Impedance level is at 22 ohms. Sensitivity here is 108 decibels VRMS at 1 kHz. So all you need to know really is that much like a lot of other IEMs, a lot of other earphones, this is going to be an easy to drive product. And upon opening, okay, that box looks good. And by the way, this is like $50. So the expectations here are not going to be as high as say something like $80 IEMs or $100 IEMs. But as I say that, you're immediately greeted with a very good looking IEM. Plus, you have a lot of ear tips. That's a lot of ear tips for like all things considered. $50. You're gonna get like narrow, like short, wide tips, much like the K-Bear coffee tips, and you're also going to get like the regular silicone ear tips. Then of course paperwork. I'm just gonna throw that away. And another reason why this looks great for $50 is you're going to have a case as well. This is actually pretty similar to the CCA Phoenix case. I mean, look at that. It's going to be a bit smaller, but same like principles. It's open like that. It opens. Ta-da! It's not the most comfortable thing to open, but it's not bad. At least you have a case. But this is really what's going to make it special. Look at that. Out of the box, inside of the case, you're getting a DAC. For $50, you're getting a DAC, a decent cable with a microphone, which is also, by the way, like similar to the Lecture D02s, which are not going to be tangle prone. It doesn't tangle. It's not going to be the best, but it's also not going to be the worst. But the most important thing here is that you're actually getting something that's quality. On top of that, this is $50. This is everything you're going to need. Ear tips, DAC, cable. That's everything that you need right out of the box. And that's amazing value. To add to that, the actual IEMs itself, ta-da, also has like more latex ear tips right over there. So again, good value. You're getting 3 sets of short wide tips, 3 sets of regular silicone ear tips, then a DAC, but you're also getting tuning nozzles. There's a lot out of the box. $50. $50. You're getting so much more than what you would otherwise get in like regular $100 IEMs for $50. This DAC alone makes me very happy. The unboxing this is probably the best unboxing experience I've ever had, except for the case maybe. But I want to do several things first, and that is going to be measuring the IEMs. For first and foremost, this is going to be a weighty boy, so I'm assuming 10 grams. 12. What the? 12 grams. Okay. Wow. Then if it's going to be the entire set, for the entire, that's 40. Okay, I'm just, wow. Okay, the way I do my measurements is I have A, B, and C. The first one is going to be like the top width area. This is really helpful for me because the anti-helix part of my ears, I don't know if you can see that properly, but the anti-helix part of my ears often is where I get a lot of pressure points, and the taper width as well, like the concha right over here, like where the IEMs usually sit. That's why I make sure that those two are the first thing that I actually measure, because I can tell pretty well if I could be comfortable with them as long as I measure those parts. The peak is going to be like the tallest point of the IEM, in which case this is mostly like rectangle and it's not really gonna have a peak, so B1 and B2 are gonna be disregarded for this IEM. The height of the housing is going to be this entire ordeal right over there. Then for the C, this is going to include the lip diameter. So this one right over here, which is going to affect like exactly how it feels when you're wearing the IEM itself, because in-ears. And the acoustic chamber, which is C2, acoustic chamber length. So this entire ordeal right over here, this entire metal piece. Then going to be C4 is going to be the lip to transition length. So this is essentially just going to be this part. Top width is going to be this segment right over here. That's going to be 18.86, 18.8. I'm just gonna round that down to 18. Oh wow, 18.9 really? Yeah, I'm just gonna round it up, I guess, to 18.9. Then the taper width here at the bottom, I distinguish where does 5 millimeters land on the actual IEM. So it lands there at this somewhat at the middle. So this is obviously gonna be a pretty thick boy at 16 point. I'm just gonna round that up to 16.8 millimeters for the taper at the bottom. Housing of the height, 18.3 millimeters. Okay, that's pretty big. Moving on towards the C segment, lip diameter is 6 millimeters. C2 acoustic chamber diameter. So this part right over here, that's directly below the lip, that's 5.28. That's 5.3. I'm just gonna round it up to 5.3 millimeters. The entire acoustic chamber length, I believe, is 5.26, so 5.3 millimeters. C4 is going to be at around 10.12 millimeters. I'm just gonna round that down to 10 millimeters. And that's pretty much for the dimensions of the entire IEM. Test fit. Whoa, those feel massive. No, like from the outer side. Look. What I want to do now is test the IEMs, like listen to them, just tell my initial impressions of them, pretty standard stuff. I'm using the included DAC from Twistura, and this is honestly really good. It's cloth, the cable is cloth, so it's going to get stained, and once it gets stained, it's not going to be the easiest thing to remove. This sounds bright, which is something I like. I don't think there's a lot of sub bass though, but this is just a DAC. Like usually if it's an amp, I usually can't go with like more than 15% hardware volume on heavy music. So this is definitely just a DAC, but still, the fact that you have this out of the box, amazing value. Oh yeah, they are the black one. So the default tuning filters sound very bright. Like there's a decent amount of mid bass, but I'm not getting a whole lot of that. That's probably because like the treble, there looks like a ton of peaks for like the upper mids to treble. Initial impressions, like the black nozzles, default nozzles with the black O-rings around them sound very bright, but not overly bright, which is interesting because there's really not a lot of bass like from the graphs, which is I think this is just initial impressions type of thing. That's why I'm able to say that it's not like too bright, but maybe after a bit more time it's going to sound relatively and significantly brighter, in which case that's why I take a lot of time for my reviews. But this is with the blue one. During the chorus of Teresa and Maria, like the vocals and everything starts to get brighter. They start to get a bit more sibilant in some cases. This feels very shouty on the blue ones, like during the chorus part. In the black ones, they weren't too bad, but it feels very shouty. The red ones, which is going to be the last ones, are gonna have the most amount of bass, and that's what I'm curious about. You can see that there's like a filter inside, whereas the other ones don't really have any. I think you immediately saw in like my face how my facial expression just changed from like to this. Sounds a lot more like balanced IEM, if that makes any sense. Immediately with the red like tuning nozzle, you get a bit more bass, so the highs, the treble is a bit more balanced out. It's a bit more controlled sounding because you get a bit more mid bass and bit more sub bass, in which case that really helps a lot with my comment a while ago, which is these were bright leaning, exponentially bright leaning. Actually, I'm not even getting a proper fitment right now, especially on my right ear, which is odd because this is a bit smaller. I'm also using smaller ear tips right now, but it still doesn't wanna like go in properly, which is just completely odd. Usually I find like the stock ear tips to be decent already, like in terms of the fitment, but this is not the case for this one. Okay, in test drive at around 1 minute, there is like that very bright violin. I don't know what chord that is, but it sounds a while ago it sounded very peaky with the black one, the default nozzles. This is really not bad. This is really not bad. Okay, now I'm interested with like the gaming performance of this. I'm getting really good imaging performance from this IEM. It's I can, like, even if I'm using the red nozzles, which is gonna be the base here of the bunch, what I'm getting from the gaming performance, I can immediately tell the person on top of me, just not pinpoint accuracy. It's just gonna be it's really just gonna be the comfort, which is going to be a hit or miss. Holy crap, I whiffed on the sofa. That could be clipped. Like, I immediately know where they are if they're pushing, but the verticalities, usually IEMs have a problem with vertical sound cues, in which case I thought the Sovo was actually closer. I thought he was at around like right over there. That's why I have to flick on the left side. So I'm getting like the oblong feel, like the people from above me sounds like they're closer, and the people like on a horizontal sound on our horizontal plane is like pretty bang on. I'm constantly having to readjust, which is really not something that I prefer. I knew somebody was there, somebody was talking there, I can hear the guy, and I just did that to the guy with the op. This is why I love brighter sounding IEMs, especially for gaming. They're just an honest cheat. The only bad thing I'm really getting right now with the Twistura is the fitment. This is really not good fitment. I'm not enjoying myself right now, like with the comfort. But like, if the comfort was a bit better, I think I would enjoy this a lot more. Because I'm really not getting a good sense of comfort right now. Like, I constantly have to readjust everything.